Welcome to session 3. So congrats on passing that last quiz. Let's go into session 3, how to do professional color draping. This is one of the most critical sessions in your journey to become a certified color coach. In this session, we're going to take an in-depth look at the 3 primary methods used in professional color analysis. Capes, which I highly recommend and I use. I'm a little bit prejudiced just off the bat. Drapes, which I've also used and I'm proficient at, and clothing, which I also use, and I'm pretty proficient at that. But you have to have a bit of experience to do that because the differences between pieces of clothing, I have an eye for it now, and I sometimes get it wrong too. While all the methods, the 3 methods, the capes, the drapes, and the clothing can actually provide, insights into a client's best colors, we're going to highlight why the Colormepowerful seasonal capes are the most effective, in my opinion, because they're portable, you can make a profit from them, and they're great for modern color analysis. With Colormepowerful, we really flipped color analysis on its head because in my opinion, I didn't want to just look pretty or beautiful. I wanted to look confident, powerful, and be respected when I walked into the room. I wanted to make an impact. I didn't want to look beautiful. I didn't think that was the right label for what I was trying to achieve with my wardrobe and my hair choices and my makeup choices. I wanted to look powerful. And that's why we chose Colormepowerful. So let's start with an understanding of the 3 methods of color analysis. Before we dive into the details, it's important to understand why professional draping is essential. Unlike DIY quizzes, like we said, or digital assessments, or hands-on draping, whether you're using clothing or a professional set of drapes or the professional capes, this allows for direct observation of how different colors interact with the client's skin. Their unvarnished skin, their skin tone. Doesn't matter how much melanin you have or don't have. It's all about how the colors interact with your natural skin tone. The goal, of course, is to analyze the hair, the skin, and the eyes to make sure you're creating harmony. But the real goal is harmonious balance, ensuring that the clients and your best colors enhance your natural or their natural features while avoiding tones that cast shadows or dull the complexion. Even if it's not dull, it dulls it because of the contrast of that shade right next to the skin. Method 1 we're going to go over is the color analysis capes. I recommend these as the best practice. I recommend them because you can make a profit from them. I recommend them because they're easy and they're portable. And I don't get confused with them. With the drapes, it was too messy for me. It's a messy process. And I made quite a bit of mistakes with them, just kind of flubbing around with them, figuring out which one was spring. So it's a jumble, and you have to be really good at it. So if you are going to use the drapes instead of the capes, you have to practice. The seasonal capes, on the other hand, a novice, a beginner, can get proficient within a very short period of time, my opinion. They are available on the LE Glow website, and we'll give you a link within these resource materials if you want to check them out. I think they provide the most effective way to conduct professional color analysis at an affordable price. That's bottom line. We produced them for that reason. We wanted as many people to be able to do color analysis as possible. And once we're certifying coaches, we wanted them to look their most professional and be at their most competent. The capes are designed to minimize external color interference, making it easier to assess a client's best seasonal color palette. That's the bottom line. So now we talk about how do you actually use color analysis capes? Well, we have a whole video on that we'll show you, but I want to talk to you first about what you need to do prior to using them. Of course, you have to prepare the environment. Use neutral lighting we talked about before, natural daylight, full spectrum lighting works best to prevent color distortions, bottom line. So that's the first thing you have to do is make sure the environment works, whether it's drapes or capes. That goes for both. Now that you've prepared the lighting and the environment, now you have to prepare the client. Have the client remove all of their makeup. I know that it's so uncomfortable for them, but kind of make a joke about it and just say, listen, we won't let you go out like this. You'll look better when you go out than you came in. You'll know what to do, but You need to get that stuff off your face if they have it on. Also, make sure that they have a turtleneck on, that it's pulled down, so that you're not getting any clothing interference or shading or shadowing that we talked about in the last session. Ideally, a neutral colored top. Tell them to bring one with them or provide something that you can drape on top. Even a couple of napkins, the serviette napkins that they have in the restaurants, those would do great just to get rid of any reflection that might be happening. Begin with the neutral capes. Your determination is, first of all, cool or warm or neutral undertones using the foundational neutral capes in the back, and we'll show you how to do that in the video. So I'm sitting at my desk right now with no makeup on, and I want to show you the cool versus warm determination just as an outtake for the video here. And what I do is I grab a cool and a warm season. And in the back of the capes over here, this is a cool cape in the back, and you can see that the neutral colors are in the cool colors. And then what I also do is I take the other color, because remember, this is a process of elimination. I take another cape, which is the warm colors, and in the season. So I'll take either a winter and an autumn, which are the more intense colors of the seasons, or I'll take a spring and a summer, which are the brighter colors of the seasons. So over here, I want to determine if I am either a warm or a cool. So I will take, my first determination is, I always do it like this, do I look better in gold or silver? Silver or gold? Now you'll notice over here that this makes my eyes appear a bit bluer. This one kind of dulls down my skin, makes shadows, and you can see the reflection of the yellow underneath my chin over here. That's really not so great. And it kind of goes away there. So you'll see that reflection actually happening in real time, especially if I go with the colors over here. And the great thing about these capes is you can fold them up and down very easily to the lighter to the darker. And that's interesting color. I like it. Over here, it looks kind of nice against my skin. So that kind of looks nice against my skin. I kind of like that. But you can't stop right here. You really do need to go further and make sure that you do the other side of the back of the capes as well. So the other side of the back of the capes right here, for me, is this, does this brown look better? And this olive, which is the warm side of the capes, it's the autumn side, that, or does the winter over here with the blues right there, that periwinkle blue, kind of a Wedgwood blue, more muted, or the cobalt blue, does that look better? And I think that you can see when you look at my skin tone that that looks quite a bit better than the khaki, which is a color I shy away from. You can see it kind of makes my skin kind of sallow, which is not really nice. And you see the line under my chin and a little bit more wrinkling that is apparent because the shading brings out that wrinkling. So that's how you determine cool and warm. So it's a process of elimination. So what I would immediately do is take away both warm seasons. So this one goes away. Bye-bye. And my spring would also go away. And this is how we discard the capes. So then I'm left with my summer cape and my winter cape, for me personally. And if it was on the warm side that you determined the person was, then you'd be left with your spring cape and your autumn cape. So it's super easy. So when you're doing a color analysis session and the client is sitting in a chair just like I am, you would have the cape around them. I actually have determined that I am a winter. So I have the winter cape on me right now, which is awesome. And what I want to do now is I want to determine whether I am a muted, a true, or an intense. And we can do this really easily with the capes because you'll notice, look, they are designated true, muted, or intense. Now the key with these capes is being able to fold them right up against the client's skin very, very easily. So if I wanted to determine if I was a true, which is right up on the top, the true color, I could use this and slide it right along my face. That's a little bright. Slide it along my face. And you can see that if you were using drapes, you'd have to be flipping between 12 to 13 drapes to get this effect. That's not too bad, but still a little bright. And then I go, okay, it's a little bright. Now what I'll do is I'll try and go to the next thing over here to determine if the muted looks a bit better. And that looks quite a bit better. Huh, interesting. And you slide this all the way along, but just to make sure, just because the muted looks better on me, doesn't mean it's the final determination, right? So what you want to do is fold it one more time to see if the intense colors, right over here, the intense colors, which are the bottom bar, look better. And these are a little bit dark on me. I don't know if you can see the difference between that and this, which is muted. So I'll go dark, muted, darker, which look okay, but they're honestly not as nice as the muted. And then I'll go again and say, okay, let me just do one more color check on the true. And again, that's a little bit too vibrant for me. So I am a girl, a lady who needs muted. So I'm a muted winner. See the difference and how easy it is to fold back and forward, dropping that, pulling it up, and then moving to the true. Super, super easy. And make sure that you go all the way along, because some colors will look better than others, which is pretty crazy. Next thing I do for a client is I want to pick her signature colors, and I actually use a Sharpie. That is what I do. I literally grab a Sharpie and I will take this and mark up her cape, because the bottom line is you want these capes to go with them, or the drapes, or whatever it is that you're doing, so they can go shopping with them. I prefer fabric over paper because fabric is what she's buying. So I like to kind of stay true to that. So we know that I'm a muted, so I can go along this bar. Look at that. So what I do is I literally say, mark the muted, so she knows she's a muted, and then certain colors look really good on me, like that yellow, that pale yellow looks really good, but the more vibrant buttercup doesn't. So, and I like this one better, and I wear it quite a bit. So I mark that one with 2 little stars, and then I go along and I have other colors. Look at all the stars I have here. I like the one with 2 stars a little bit better, and then I go along and look at that. I love those colors. I got a lot of marks on that so that I know what my signature colors are. And as I go along here, you'll see that I build a wardrobe, an encapsulated wardrobe around this. And when I go shopping, I say, okay, these are some colors that I love, absolutely love, and I will build around that, which is super amazing with these capes. And that's what you want. A Sharpie, this, and the client is out the door ready to go shopping. So that's how you get your most accurate color match. Why does this method work the best? Well, Colormepowerful capes are very lightweight. I'm going to grab one right now for you. There they are, super lightweight. There they are. They also have the color wheel on them, which is great, so you can explain the color wheel to the client, but they are extremely lightweight. They provide uniform color placement. We designed these so that they have the same color placement, yellow to yellow, reds and maroons, pinks all together in the muted, the true, and the intense color range, so that you can easily do this. You cannot do this with drapes. You just can't do it. Just pretty much impossible. They provide, like I said, uniform color placement, so you can compare very, very easy just with a quick fold instead of fumbling around with drapes. And what they also do is they are affordable, because it's one thing rather than a whole bunch of drapes and a whole bunch of colors and swatches of color. The most important thing, I think, is that they eliminate distortions from loose fabrics. They're very uniform in appearance, and we designed them like that. And I like them because you can fold them up super, super small and put them in a little bag and go to the shop with them, which is awesome. Let's go into method 2, which is traditional draping. Some professionals, and I do it too, prefer using the large fabric drapes for color analysis. And while these are effective, this method requires more space and careful handling. It's expensive. A professional set of drapes can run you anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 American. That's a lot of money. These capes, very much cheaper. I shouldn't call them cheap. Less expensive is the proper word, but a lot less expensive, about a tenth of the price, which is substantial. Plus, I don't know many clients that I have that can afford a professional set of drapes in their seasonal color, much less fold them up and put them in their handbag. But all of my clients get these capes. It's one of the things. I bundle it in with my services and they go home with a cape. So I think that that's much preferable as well. It also, with the professional draping method, it takes a lot more space because you've got to hang them all out. And I'm going to show you just quickly what a professional set of drapes looks like that you would sell to a client, and the differences between the capes and the drapes. This is typically what a client would get after a session. Let me go grab that. This is a little mini set of drapes that clients can get from one of our color people. And you can see it's kind of a little bit clumsier, and it's not in the right order either. It's kind of all over the board like a hot mess for clients. But if you're good at this, you'll know why they've designed it like this, because they're using color concepts to do this in contrast, where they're putting the blues next to the oranges and the greens next to that to form analogous. But a client wouldn't know that. There's an analogous color scheme right there, for example. But it's a bit too complicated for clients to deal with something like this, although it's great for them to go shopping with. And this thing costs a lot of money. Capes, on the other hand, a bit more true color. If I'm a muted person, I can just go down like this and look at these colors and match them up very, very easily. And they're not falling all over the place either. So I think that that's pretty important. So now let's go into how do you actually use traditional drapes.